Laughing is always one of the best medicines, and pranks are experts at provoking laughter with unusual situations and unexpected surprises. However, sometimes the thin line between humor and exaggeration is crossed, generating controversy, intense reactions, and even questions about how far one can go for a good joke. From scares that left people in panic to situations that challenged common sense, these pranks went beyond what was expected, shocking and often dividing opinions. These are the pranks you will watch today. The now-defunct João Kleber show, broadcast in Brazil, was always well known for its iconic pranks, and this time was no different, featuring a model wearing only a bikini who boldly approached some couples along the seashore. The woman, with a beautiful body and a very small dress, stood on the beach waiting for a couple to arrive. As soon as a couple showed up, acting completely shameless, she would squat down with her back turned to the man, which consequently made him stand very close to her. To defend herself, she would say she was just collecting seashells in the sand, but that did nothing to stop the woman accompanying the man from getting extremely irritated. Many even threatened to hurt her. After all, she was openly flirting with their boyfriend or husband in a brazen way. The women end up getting very angry, whereas the men do not seem to mind much. Why might that be? A group of friends decided to plan a prank on one of them, and the very bizarre idea caused an impressive reaction that went viral on social media. After all, imagine passing out and upon waking up being told you had been in a coma for 10 years? To pull off the prank, the friends made him take a sleeping pill. Once he was in a deep sleep, they took him to an isolated hospital room, put him in a patient's gown, and even hired actors to play a doctor and nurses, taking care of every detail. In addition, his best friend also did makeup to look older and heavier. Even his son, who was still a baby, was replaced by an older actor who entered the room pretending to be his son. As soon as the man woke up in the hospital bed, the doctor, who was actually an actor, told him he had been in a coma for 10 years. His reaction, not understanding anything, is quite funny. He is completely lost, unable to figure out how that could be possible. After all, 10 years is a very long time. When he sees his older friend and his now-grown son, he starts to believe it, talking to everyone and resigning himself to the situation until they finally reveal the prank and he feels relieved. Imagine walking through a deserted tunnel at night and coming across a giant, creepy nun on the other side. Well, you would probably run very fast. That is exactly what happened in a prank created by a foreign channel that dressed someone up as a sinister nun, referencing the horror movie of the same name. On top of that, the person was on stilts, making them gigantic, all to give the impression of a towering, horrifying being about to attack anyone passing by. Seeing that figure on the other end of the tunnel and realizing it can run toward you is certainly not pleasant. Well, as we can see, everyone, even if they suspected it was a prank, is still very startled by the situation, which is hardly surprising. This prank by Silvio Santos, a famous television presenter in Brazil, became well known for being one of the scariest and most elaborate pranks ever produced on his show. It is called Zombies on the Road. The production created a completely isolated setting on a deserted and ominous road. A car carrying the prank victims was programmed to break down in the middle of the route. Suddenly, actors wearing extremely realistic zombie makeup appeared out of nowhere, surrounding the vehicle. Trapped inside the car with no way to escape, the victims become terrified, scream, and try to understand what is happening in a very tense scene. The team invested in very well-done makeup and effects, making the zombies extremely frightening. Additionally, the atmosphere was carefully set up, with low lighting and spooky moaning and footsteps. The people's reactions were extremely authentic, proving that nothing was staged, enhancing the immersion and causing the prank to go viral. This prank that went viral on the internet is a classic of social comedy, exploring jealousy and embarrassment within couples, and, of course, guaranteeing unexpected reactions from everyone involved. On the escalator of a shopping mall with a steady flow of people, an attractive woman in eye-catching clothing goes up while men come down on the opposite side, usually with their wives or girlfriends at their side. The actress lightly touches the man's arm or shoulder and makes a suggestive comment, such as, "You're so handsome," or something flirtatious. The girlfriends or wives immediately show show jealousy, confronting their partners and taking it up with the flirty woman. The men, in turn, get embarrassed, try to explain themselves, or even pretend they did not notice what happened, which makes the scene even more hilarious. Those nearby always react with laughter or surprised looks. The jealousy and confusion create very funny moments where, most of the time, the man ends up in trouble. In yet another prank involving terror and scares, a decorative painting that suddenly turns into something very frightening guarantees good scares and spontaneous reactions. In the prank, a man enters a woman's house and waits near the front door in an apparently calm environment. Right there at the entrance is a portrait of the hostess, looking beautiful and elegant, which piques the curiosity of the men who come closer to look. However, the picture is actually a video screen controlled remotely. At a planned moment, the photo in the frame starts moving. The woman's face changes expression, becoming sinister, or is replaced by a terrifying image, such as glowing eyes, a chilling grin, or even sound effects like screams or evil laughter. Unsurprisingly, the scare is guaranteed, and the men quickly find a way to leave. Combining something that appears harmless in a calm setting with a sudden scare always works well, triggering genuine fright that is very funny for anyone watching. This style of prank, which blends physical comedy with an element of surprise and an unexpected outcome, also draws a lot of attention and has been going viral on the internet. In this scenario, a man arrives at an establishment and heads for a stool near the counter. Initially, he sits down on it normally, but shortly afterwards, the seat slides down, revealing a metal rod that is usually fake. When the victim sits, the seat disappears, making it look as though the metal rod has pierced his backside. When he stands up to show the rod, the people next to him are always shocked, as happened here, where a couple nearby is left literally gaping. People around do not understand how that rod could be in the victim's backside without him feeling any pain or discomfort, so their reactions mix astonishment and confusion at the same time. This Japanese prank showcases the kind of psychological horror they excel at, often inspired by urban legends or classic horror films. The idea of a creepy woman rising from a river recalls folkloric figures like the Yurei, a Japanese ghost, or even stories like the Onryo, popularized in films such as The Ring and The Grudge. The prank takes place in an isolated spot near a river at dusk, generating a naturally eerie atmosphere. An actress dressed like a typical Japanese ghost, wearing white clothes, long, disheveled hair covering her face, and pale makeup to look supernatural, emerges from the river and moves toward people passing by, causing a huge scare. Some try to figure out what is going on before realizing it is something horrifying, and then they run away as fast as they can. Imagine encountering a woman in a dog costume asking for help unzipping her costume, and underneath it, she reveals something, let us say, surprising. That is exactly what happened in this prank produced by a video sharing channel, where a woman appears in a dog costume in a public square and asks men to help her unzip the costume so she can take it off. With her back turned to them, she waits for the zipper to be opened and surprises them by revealing her body with only a very small bikini. The men's reactions when they see that are total shock and embarrassment. The point of the prank is exactly that, to cause a bit of shock and embarrassment for the men, who are left not knowing how to handle the situation. The alien baby prank, shown on the Silvio Santos show, broadcast in Brazil by the SBT network, is one of the most memorable and well-made productions of the program, and, of course, could not be left out of this list. In the prank, a fictitious hospital delivery room was set up in detail, including medical equipment and actors dressed as nurses and doctors. The victims were hired to work as assistants or companions in a hospital, unaware that they would be part of a prank. They were taken into a delivery room to help in an emergency. During the delivery, instead of a human baby, a terrifying alien with grotesque features comes out. The alien baby begins screaming and moving, scaring the victims. Many screamed or ran out of the room. Some froze, trying to figure out if it was real or a joke. The victims' panic and shock created hilarious moments. And once again, a prank mixing humor and psychological scare in a convenience store spread across the internet, causing a lot of laughter. The prank takes place in a normal convenience store, with a television near the cashier that shows footage from a security camera, something customers often see. While a person is at the register, the camera shows the area behind them, but includes a live editing effect, making it look like death is right behind them in the footage. The victim sees the sinister figure on the screen and reacts immediately, often turning around to check if it is real. Upon turning, they do not find death immediately, but see an ordinary old man holding a scythe, which heightens the confusion and fright. The startled reaction, the astonishment, and the inability to understand how that could be possible generate very funny scenes. One of the victims even wipes their eyes to make sure they are seeing correctly. The prank went viral for being quite ingenious like that. Imagine coming home and finding a strange doll waiting for you right at the front door. And as if that was not enough, noticing that the same doll keeps following you around the house, even though no one is moving it, appearing in various rooms. Well, it would not be very pleasant. That is exactly what one man experienced at his home when his wife decided to prank him. In footage recorded by hidden cameras the wife had set up, we see the moment the man arrives home and sees the doll at the door, waiting, giving him quite a scare. He then picks up the doll and puts it away in a room. The wife, hiding in the house, waits for him to go to another room, picks up the doll, and secretly places it near him again. When he steps out, he comes across the doll yet again, and the scare is even bigger. She repeats this several times until he locks himself in a room, makes a call, and explains what is happening, in a very funny scene for anyone watching, although it is not funny at all for him. In the end, he truly believes the doll is cursed and even suggests an exorcism. The wife then appears and reveals it was all a prank. He is so frightened that it takes him a while to calm down. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.